The constant debate of the M4A4 versus the M4A1-S seems to currently be leaning in the M4A4's favor, but recently I noticed that s1mple was surprisingly using the A1S in an FPL game and thought, surely one of the best players in the world isn't just randomly switching up, even if it is a game of FPL for no reason. So today we're going to talk about why you might want to start using the M4A1-S, so if you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, but for now, let's get right into it. So first, let's talk about the raw metrics of each gun and how exactly they compare against each other. The M4A1-S costs $2,900 compared to the M4A4's $3,100, which may not seem like a big deal, but managing CT economy is always a mess, so it definitely has its value. Although the price is a nice reason to buy the A1S, the setbacks begin when we look at the fire rate, which is 600 compared to the M4A4's 667. To put that into comparison, the Krieg before its massive nerf also had a 667 fire rate, and the AK currently has a 600, so it may not seem like a huge difference, but you're going to be firing off a notable amount of rounds with the A4 more than you would with the A1S, which can be a difference maker. But I'll get into why I think the A1S can negate that in a bit. Finally, the obvious magazine size difference. The M4A4 has 30 rounds with 90 in reserve compared to the A1S with 25 rounds and 75 in reserve, which can make it kinda tough to multi-kill with the A1S. Surprisingly, the accuracy difference while standing between the two is within half a meter, so it's pretty much negatable as well. We'll get into the spray control in a bit, which is one of the main factors that differentiates the two. So those are the only real things you have to know when comparing the A1S and the A4, so now let's get into why I think the A1S definitely has its place in CS, whether it's just your average matchmaking game or in high tier gameplay. So why exactly has s1mple recently switched to the M4A1S? Well, I can think of at least a few reasons to start it off. First of all, although it has a slower fire rate, I feel the A1S can actually be used at a pretty high level with its really tight spray control and long range potential. For example, window on Mirage. If you have a teammate constantly flashing over mid and you're in window with an A1S, you're gonna be much better off than with an A4. If you have really good aim and crosshair placement, obviously someone like s1mple would have this, then you can definitely get rewarded with the A1S rather than struggling to spray down enemies with a wider, especially wider long range recoil of the A4. Although you will have 5 more bullets with the A4, the such tight spray control of the A1S just makes it a lot easier to kill, no matter how good of a player you are. Now on the same page, this can kind of work against the A1S. Because of its lesser fire rate and 5 less bullets, close range fights can be a struggle and you can easily get overrun depending on where you place sights as a CT, and you might have to change your playstyle based on which gun you use. If you're a more passive player and don't like taking close range fights, the A1S can even be a better fit for you. Personally, I play like Gold Nova matches with my friends a lot, and I feel like people, whether they just don't know how to play the game or are just passive in general, tend to sit back a lot more on CT side rather than playing close, getting map control and all that good stuff. So I feel like the A1S can definitely be beneficial to newer players, but it kind of just depends how you play the game and where you play CT side from. Another reason why I think s1mple and a few other M4A1S users actually buy the gun is because it's $200 cheaper than the A4. Now, once again, this may not seem like a huge difference, but especially if you're an opper or prefer buying the AUG sometimes, or honestly are just low on nades on a map like Inferno for example, because it's so hard to manage CT economy, using the A1S, partially for the reason of its cheaper price point, really isn't that bad of an idea, especially since you're probably going to be dropping your teammates as well. It really adds up once you start to spend money on CT side, but once again, it really just depends on your style of play and whether or not you want to op or AUG in matches, and it somewhat depends on the map you're playing on. Like personally for me, I probably wouldn't use the M4A1S on Inferno. I'm a B player, I usually need all the bullets I can to spam through smokes and stuff like this, but it really just depends at what level you're playing and once again, your playstyle. This is a bit off topic, but this is a reason why I kinda think CSGO devs should really consider allowing CTs to buy both the A1S and the A4 on the CT side, rather than just having one or the other before the game starts. I think it could really allow CTs to adjust their playstyle a lot more and make for some really interesting gameplay all around. But overall, I think the M4A1-S definitely has its place in CS and shouldn't really be overlooked. A lot of people have just chose to stuck with the A4 after all of the changes that have gone through CS, and mostly because a lot of pros tend to stick to it as well. But if you feel like you have good crosshair placement, teammates that can flash for you and provide you support if you tend to play more passive, and the spray control of someone with ideally like more than 5 hours in the game, the M4A1-S can definitely be a good choice for you. As always, I recommend trying out everything for yourself rather than just making the decision on what I say or what you see a pro do, because everybody's different and it really depends on your playstyle. But besides that, I think that does wrap it up for this video, so thank you guys so much for watching, and if you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and want to see more videos like this one. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.